Rhetorical Quest.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Klein, and I'm here to talk to you about our new class at Western New Mexico University, Communication and Thought, a class that combines the study of communication with the study of philosophy. Regents have recently designated WNMU an Applied Liberal Arts University. And what does that even mean, to be applied in liberal arts? Well, it's exactly what we're going to be doing in this class. This is going to be a place where 5,000 feet touches the ground, where those philosophical questions that people have wrestled with since the beginning of time, we're going to deal with those. But we're not just going to deal with them in a heads in the clouds way. We're going to do it in a way where our heads that perhaps are up in the clouds are attached to feet that are touching the ground. I'm excited about this course. I'm excited about the things that we're going to do in this course. If you come to my office, you're going to find that I have a lot of books. You're also going to find I have a lot of Star Wars toys. But you're going to find I have a lot of books. And many of these books, if you ask me, I think I've read everything in here. If you ask me, is this a good book? There's quite a few of these books that I'll point to and say, this book changed my life. And those books that I'll tell you that are like that once I'd read this, I totally saw the world in a new and different way. Most of those are works of literature, or works of philosophy, or even works of communication theory. Religious texts that, wow, once I understood that, I understood the world better. But texts in communication theory, religious texts, philosophy, literature, philosophical texts, classics, of course those changed my life. But you'll also find, if you come in here, that I have a lot of textbooks. And if you grab, I think, almost any of the textbooks off my shelf, I will be able to tell you what the good and the bad things about that textbook are. But I'm not going to tell you that any textbook ever changed my life, except for one. The one textbook that has ever changed my life is this one, The Rhetoric of Western Thought. Earlier editions of this text, the edition that I used when I took this class as an undergrad, I've read the covers off of them. I read it again and again and again and again, which, yes, I do that with certain philosophical texts, with certain religious texts, with certain texts of communication theory. Yeah, I do that. But I think this might be the only text that's actually been written as a textbook that I have read over and over and over again. And I will tell you right now that this text changed my life. I think it can change yours too. So I'm going to set up this class in such a way that you're going to really need and want to read every chapter of this text. Does it get dry sometimes? Sure. This is a textbook. Does it get difficult to understand at certain times? Well, one of the things that you might want to invest in at some point in your life is a dictionary, although the internet's awesome. Maybe we don't need dictionaries anymore. But still, this text is life-changing. If you really let this text do for you what it can do for you, you're going to get more out of this class than you can possibly imagine. So, maybe I'm using a bit of hyperbole, but I don't think so. This is a good textbook. Okay, so let's look at what we're actually going to be doing in this course. This is our Canvas page, and to a large extent it will be an important part of how you use this course. If you've done other online courses with me, this is going to be pretty different. But I think it might be more like the way online courses are with most people, so that's probably okay. So let's go ahead and just kind of go through this. This is my contact information right at the beginning. We have a whole bunch of CRNs because of the way this course is designed.
As far as required items go, we have the textbook that I just talked about a few seconds ago. From your point of view, several days ago from mine. But anyway, the textbook that we just talked about, which really is, I know it is a textbook, and so it reads like a textbook. But it can be absolutely life-changing. You also are going to need to access a computer. I say you'll need to access it daily. Maybe not, but really, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, you're probably going to need to access it daily to stay caught up on the message boards, because those are going to be our big days for dealing with those. A notebook or other device for note-taking, that's really only for the people who are taking the hybrid section who are going to be in the class. And I say you need a philosophical outlook. Maybe that's not exactly an item. It's certainly not something that they sell directly at the university bookstore, although you can pick one up there. But anyway, the way I describe that is an inquisitive mind. You really wonder about things, a desire to think intensely about things. For this course, especially communication. A desire to know what great thinkers thought about things. The humility to think that there are greater thinkers than you, and that people bigger than you and more who have thought deeper about this than you, and who historically we can look at this and say, these people thought about this very deeply for a long time. Well, what did those people know? Does that mean they're always right? Well, they don't even always agree with each other. But those deeper thoughts, you want to know what people have thought about those, especially for this course about communication. A willingness to adjust your thinking based on rational arguments. That's really a huge part of a philosophical outlook, is the ability that when you hear an argument that goes against what you've previously thought, that you adjust your thinking to that argument, if it's a good rational argument. If you have a better argument, then keep your own. And a willingness to try out ideas and later try different ones. Some people get all hung up on one set of ideas. This is the way things work. Well, let's look at the world from a different way. To a large extent, we'll be talking about what we call generally in communication here theories in this class, which is way different than theories in a science class or something like that. Way different than the theories in a situation like that. Theory comes from a Greek word. You learn a lot of Greek words in this class, or see a lot of Greek words, whether you learn them or not. And theory comes from a Greek word, theo. We get also the word theos, or theology, which is the study of God, because a God was something who, a theos was something who would theo, which would be to see. And a theory is a way of seeing something. And I think it's important to be able to look at the world through one lens and then be able to pick up another lens and look at the world through that. So those are our required items. Let's see. We also probably want to, I'll just go to home. That's the easy probably. We want to probably, the grading criteria is on there. You should read that. You really should, because especially when you do everything right and get a C, you'll wonder why. But you should read that. Expectations and policies. We have all these expectations. Let me kind of go through them. I'm not going to click on these, and actually it looks like I haven't made links yet, so I need to fix that. We have a policy on late work. That is basically don't turn anything in late. If I let you turn in something late, I'm never going to grade it. I mean, I will. I'll grade it, give it a quick grade that last week after the Canvas course is closed and before it goes into the registrar. So it'll just be a quick, I'll look it over and kind of, C, B, that kind of thing. Policy on classroom attendance. If you're taking the face-to-face section, I really want you to come. If you're taking the hybrid section, I really, really want you to come. So there's a policy on there that actually reflects the university policy. Academic honesty, I don't think you should cheat. civil discourse, so we should speak nicely to each other. This class is going to be one where a lot of different points of view are looked at. And sometimes we'll come in and on the discussion boards or in the face-to-face section, we'll realize that we have some really different points of view on this. And that's okay. It's okay to have different points of view. It's not okay to call people with different points of view idiots or dummies or something like that, or just to write them off. A policy on inclement weather. The online aspects of this course, which are the majority of it, will be unaffected. Policy on children in the classroom for the ones taking the hybrid course. Mostly, probably you don't want to bring your kids to class, but in this class, I don't think we're going to talk about anything, unless it goes a way different direction than I'm expecting, anything that you don't want your kids to hear. Maybe stuff that would be boring for your kids to hear, and you're responsible for their behavior. Policy on animals in the classroom, of course, if you need. If you need your dog there for any kind of medical or psychological reason, of course you can, but if you don't have a registered service animal, probably don't bring your animals, although the policy is a little more detailed than that. Weapons in the classroom, it's just a repeat of what's in your student handbook. Informed consent is important. This class probably will meet the criteria for reasonable expectations of privacy under the Fourth Amendment, and also will be governed under the Federal Education Rights Protection Act, or FERPA. And what that basically means is the stuff that we talk about in class, really, probably you don't need to make it public. Now, the way I do it is something like this. I'll say, there's a person in my class who wrote a paper about this, and I'll say it that way, but I won't say that Lisa in my class wrote a paper about this. I just won't do it, and you shouldn't either. And also, you shouldn't be posting on social media about those things. It's just, you have a special right to privacy that goes beyond your normal rights to privacy when you're a student. Policy on professionalism, talk nice. Policy on scholarly and communication. You need to cite in your papers. You need to try and avoid first person, second person, contractions, slang. Policy on integrated use of technology, of course. This is a high tech heavy class. You're going to need it. Policy on disability services. That'll include, if you click on that, the phone number to get in touch with disability services. I can usually accommodate about anything. In my public speaking class one time I had a student who needed as his accommodation that he couldn't do speeches. At which point we had to say, you know what, if you can't do speeches, you can't take the class. So, sorry. Policy on official email, you have to use the university email. So those are our expectations and policies. But probably what you're really excited about, what you're really interested in, is the assignments. And so let's just go ahead and take a quick look at that. I call these two freebies. These are two discussion boards that are freebies. Basically, you post in them, you get 100 points. You're not going to get, or you get 0 points if you don't post what it says to post. You're going to be a discussion leader one week, so you just have to go on there and list what week you'll be a discussion leader. These ones with little stars, if you want to, if you're the first one to sign up for that as a discussion leader, you can say, I will share being a discussion leader with somebody else if they want to share with me. Or you can say you don't want to, because it's a chunk of your grade being the discussion leader. Let's go ahead and go down to that. It's more than most things. Be a discussion. It's 100 points. It's 100 points. So that's enough to make you not want to share if you don't trust people. So there's that. Also, you'll be choosing a rhetorical theorist who you'll study a little bit more in depth than the textbook allows. And so you'll just make a choice on there. Everybody will choose one. And you'll write a paper eventually due on 420 day. That'll be interesting. No, it probably won't matter. But anyway, yeah, so you would choose one of these. Some of these aren't even in our textbook. Gloria Anseldua isn't. Bitzer isn't in our textbook. Borman isn't in our textbook. Brown isn't in our textbook. Okay, a lot of them. Campbell is, Cicero is, Dakar is, Fisher is not, Foss is not, Foucault is, Gonzalez is, Grassi is, Habermas is, Isocrates is, Longinus is, McLuhan is, Perlman is, Postman is not, Quintilian is, Peter Ramus is too much. I.A. Richards, I don't know. I guess I had everybody else's first name, so I put his. But he always goes by. He died. I.A. Richards is in our textbook. Jonathan Swift is in our textbook. Stephen Toulmin's in our textbook. Richard Weaver is in our textbook. So some of these are and some of them aren't, but you'll go way beyond the textbook no matter what. So you gotta choose one of those two. Okay. So you'll be a discussion leader, and these are the discussions. No, those are the other assignments. These are discussions you'll go through, and most weeks we'll have a discussion. There'll be a couple times we won't. And actually that'll be when we're doing these things. You will also write 3 papers. You'll write an actual midterm rhetorical artifact paper where you can study almost anything. Anything you want to study, you probably can. You can read the assignment. I'm not going to read it to you. You'll also have a theory paper that I talked about before. That's why you have to choose a theory and a theorist. You'll study the paper. And you'll write a rhetorical criticism paper. And that's where you take your theory paper and apply it to your artifact paper. And this criticism paper is going to look really long when you're done, so you can show it to your mom and say, Mom, you made me write a 15-page paper, but I really made you write 3 5-page papers, so it's not. But, you can cry and get sympathy from your mother, your romantic partner, whoever gives you sympathy. That's the person you can get it from. Not from me, because I'll know that you actually only wrote 3 short papers, not 1 long one. But it'll look like 1 long one. So, anyway. But other times you can get sympathy from me. I mean, like, if your house burns down, wow. I'm sorry. But not for that. So anyway, those are basically, that's what we're going to do in the class. Weekly discussions, we'll have these discussion boards. I don't know why, but when I go to the discussion board, and I think this will be true for you, it's backwards. So our first discussion is the bottom discussion. So anyway, I'm discussion board leader for the first discussion, but that won't actually, you can start typing on it anytime, but that won't actually be till the 26th that it's got to get done. So I'm pretty excited about this class. I think you've probably caught that. I think it's a really cool thing that what we're going to be doing here, and really in those assignments, right? The assignments, the theory paper, I mean, every week we'll be doing it in the discussion board, trying to get application to our lives. But in our big assignments, where we do an artifact, we do a theory, we apply the theory to the artifact. The theory is the 5,000 feet. The artifact is touching the ground. Here we are at WNMU, which is a university at 5,000 feet where it touches the ground. I just think this is a perfect place, a perfect time to do it. I am so excited that I had to put those little stars in there on the choose a discussion leader, because I got that many people in the class that I have to say, well, some of these are going to have to be shared. So really, if you're reading more than 2 chapters, I say it can be shared. But yeah, this is going to be some pretty awesome stuff. I'm really excited to go through this. This is going to be, I just have a feeling this is going to be one of the best classes I've ever taught. And so I'm excited that you get to be a part of it.